Today I'm going to show you how to make a memory wire necklace with some of the beads from the Christmas Dazzle Treasure Box. However, you don't have to have the treasure box to do this particular style of necklace. It is a very basic technique and you can use any beads you'd like. You need to keep in mind, however, I'm using pretty small beads. The bigger beads you use, the more your necklace is going to flare out on the memory wire, and you may need to adjust the length of wire that you cut according to the size of beads. You're going to use more wire with bigger beads. That is the one thing you need to keep in mind. Other than that, like I said, it's a very basic technique and you can use this for any beads you want. This is, like I said, in the treasure box, the little pendant. I show you how to lay out your design so that you can center a pendant. You do not have to put a pendant on this necklace. You can just do it all in seed beads. You can do it in anything you want. However, I do have some little rhinestone, not this particular one, but some rhinestone pendants on my website. If you would like to pick up a pendant to do this, you can do that too. In the treasure box, we also have several pendants that you can use. So you don't have to use the star, or you can use the star and several of the others. It does not matter. Let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this particular necklace. Okay, I'm going to show you what we are going to use for today's project. But first, I wanted to mention really quickly that I have covered my work area in some material that Shirley from Budget Beads sent me. She makes bead mats out of it. It's pretty nice stuff. It has two sides. One side is more plush than the other. I have the flatter side up so that I can work with it, and I really think that it's pretty nice stuff. Anyway, if you're interested in anything that has to do with that, give her a buzz. Now, we're going to be using memory wire today to make this necklace. This is necklace size memory wire. I believe there's only one size when it comes to the necklace wires, so you will just want to order necklace size. So I'm using Bead, and it is just the necklace memory wire, and I'm using it in a bright silver tone. And I believe you can get this at any of the bigger beading suppliers. I ordered mine off Amazon. I think Shirley has some necklace memory wire if you want to check her out. I just happen to really like the Bead brand, and this is what I chose. So you'll need some of that. You will need some memory wire cutters or something nice and heavy that is made to cut heavy wire. This is tempered steel and it's very hard, and it will ruin your little end cutters if you use them on your memory wire. So these are memory wire cutters. You can get some of those online and just do a search for them and you'll find them. Or just use something out of the garage that's a nice heavy wire cutter, but don't use your designated cutters for your jewelry making. Then what we're going to be using is from the treasure box, but you do not have to use beads from the treasure box, the Christmas treasure box. You can use anything that you have on hand. We're going to be using the star pendant that came in the jewelry box. I have a bunch of little rhinestone pendants, not this one in particular, but I have a bunch of them on my website if you want to pick up another little pendant or use something you have on hand, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be a rhinestone pendant, just a pendant. And then we're going to be using, I'm using some of the small rondelle, the angular rondelles that were in the treasure box. I'm going to be using some of the 6mm clear bicones and some of the iron spacer beads. Now I have a confession to make about the iron spacer beads, so everyone listen up that got a box. There were supposed to be 200 packages to make my boxes with of the iron spacer beads. My friends and I were making the boxes up as they were selling. They sold out and found out that I was 12 short of the spacer beads. So I put some 80 Toho galvanized aluminum seed beads in your boxes, 12 of you. Now, it is an upgrade, actually. They are much more expensive beads than these little iron spacer beads. However, they are not exactly the same shape, size, or color. So, real close, but not exact. So, if you were one of those who got the Ado Toho seed beads, bonus for you, because I have ordered some more iron beads. All you have to do is email me from the website, or yeah, just go to the website, fill out a support form, or email me from the website and tell me that you were one of the 12, and I will send you out some iron spacer beads as soon as they come in. I apologize for that, but it was just one of those things. I was trying to keep those 12 bags separate so I could write notes, but they got mixed in and I couldn't find them. So, or I couldn't distinguish which ones they were. So keep that in mind. If you were one of the 12, let me know. And only the 12. I get 500 people. I want some spacer beads. So I will check your name and everything, and all you have to do is just send me a support message. Tell me who you are and why you're contacting me. Okay, so we're using some of the iron spacer beads, the 6mm bicone crystals, and then we're going to use, I'm using a lobster claw clasp for this, which I did not put into the treasure box, but they're very easily had. I'm using a larger one. And then 3 of the jump rings I've attached that came in the box. I've attached 3 jump rings to that for a little extender. And then I'm using a closed jump ring with 3 of the jump rings that came in the treasure box. You do not have to have this one. You can use any larger jump ring, or you can just use the jump rings that came in the box. They're nice heavy jump rings. They're 18 gauge stainless steel, and they will hold up well also. I just like to have a bigger one to go with my big lobster claw. We're using the star pendant, of course, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, you may want to have on hand a bead palette like this, one of these bead designing boards, or a ruler, a longer one, so that you can lay out about 16 inches of beads. Or you can just string it onto your wire, but it's more difficult to turn the ends once you have done that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by, let me move some of the stuff back. We're going to start by cutting a piece of our memory wire. Now, finding the end is always a nice trick. And here it is. And what I'm going to cut is, you can see it goes around here. Let's see. Right here is a complete circle. I'm going to cut it about a circle and a half. So let me see how I've got this here. So right about here, I'm going to cut this. So it's meeting over here, and I am going right here. So I'm cutting about a circle and a half. And I'm just going to use my memory wire cutters and cut that off. Now, that is a little bit more wire than we're actually going to need, but we're going to lay out about 16 inches, and then we're going to add our ends here that will give us a little extension. You can always add more if you need to of your jump rings to make more of an extension. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out. You can start just stringing from the center out on either side, but then it's a little bit difficult to finish one of your or to finish both of your ends, because your beads want to slide off your wire. So what you can do is you can take your bead board, or you can take a ruler, and I think this is going to fit in for me better. So what I'm going to do is 8 inches is half of 16 inches. So I'll start here on my 8 inches, and I'll lay my pendant on the 8 inches, and I'll use the straight edge to lay out my beads. Now, these are small beads and they're not going to lay out perfectly, so we may have to add 1 or 2, but we want to at least get something out for a center here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay out my pattern, and I think I want to start with 3 of these. See, now I can't lay them up perfectly, so I'm going to have to lay out a few more beads, maybe a half an inch to an inch more. So I'm going to lay these 3 here, and then I'm going to do 3 of my spacer beads, And then I'm going to lay out, I think I'm going to go with 6 bicones on this side. And I'll just continue laying it out. And I will come back and I will show you exactly what I've laid out, but this will help. This is actually a yardstick. Actually, it's over a yardstick. So I've just laid it across my desk and this will help me. Now, if you want to use your beading board, lay your little pendant on the 0, work on this outside level, and lay your beads out until you come to the 2 8s, because 8 and 8 is 16 inches. And we want to make it about 16. Now, if you're a much larger person and you think that you need to go about 18 and then put your extender on, you can do that too. But just remember that you want to use this outside, the most outside divot here. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out my design and come back and show you what I've got. So I have laid out my design, and I'll zoom in on one side and show you exactly the pattern. Now what I've done, as you can see, is I have gone a little bit over on each side. So I went all the way to the 17 here and about an inch on this side out, simply because when I've laid these out, they will not stand up as close together as they will on the wire. They kind of lay out. Some of them are falling sideways, some of them are, but on the wire they're going to stand up and take up less room. So I've added a little bit more to compensate for that. So I've gone just an inch longer on each side. So what I have done is, let me see if I can zoom in on one side here so you can see it. So from the center here, I have put onto my design 3 of the tiny rondelle beads. So these are like, I think 3 by, or 2.5 by 3.5, something like that. You can use any beads you want, so you don't have to do the design I'm doing. But these are the little rondelles. I did 3, and then I did 3 of the spacer beads, 6 of the bicone crystals. They're 6mm. 3 of the spacer beads, and then 5 of the rondelles. 3 spacers, and then 5 of the bicones, simply because that's what I had left after making my other necklace. And then 5 of the spacers, and then 5 of the rondelles, and then I've done 26 of the spacers. And I did exactly the same thing on the other side. Let's see if I can zoom in and give you a second to look at it. Let's see how well this translates here. And there you have it. Just know that there's 26 over here. So that's what it looks like. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of move this out of my way a little bit. I'm going to bring this here and just kind of move this up. And know that my little pendant goes there. It'll give me a little bit of room to work. So what we're going to start with is we're going to take our beading wire now, and we're going to take one end of it, and about 1/4 of an inch from the end, you're going to take your flat nose pliers. And necklace beading memory wire is really not as hard to turn or bend as bracelet is, because that's a little thicker. So just bend it up, just like that. Now I went a little bit bigger than perhaps I needed, so I'm going to trim this just a little bit. You need about 1/4 of an inch. I don't want my loops to be huge. And now that I have this turned up like this, like a little L, I'm going to turn it around, kind of get rid of the other side of my beading wire here, place it over my finger like an L, like this, go to the very, very end of the wire here, and I'm about halfway down on my round nose pliers, and I'm just going to turn as far as I can. And beading wire is difficult to turn, so just turn it till you have a hook like this, put your pliers back in, and continue turning until you get it all the way around like this. I don't know if I was in camera. Let me get you closer. That's what this looks like. I just turned until I had it real close like this. Now I can take my flat nose pliers and I can open it like I'm opening a jump ring, just twisting it up and then push towards the neck of that loop and wiggle it in. And I can do that again until I close it like this. Now I have a really nice loop here. And we're going to be putting pretty good size jump rings on here as far as the thickness of them, so you don't have to worry too much about them falling out. But you want to get that as closed as you possibly can, and that will be the end where we will connect our clasping. Now we have one end finished and we can just start beading on our beads. So let me get, having this big ruler in my face isn't helping me much, but I'm just going to go ahead and find the other end of my wire, and I'm going to bring some of these beads. I know what order they're going to be in, so I can bring them in front of me, and I'm just going to start scooping them up. Now these little iron beads kind of magnetize to the wire, so it takes a minute to get them on, and I'm just going to start picking up the beads in the order that I laid them out. And once I have them completely on here, in the order that I already laid them out in, then we can proceed to the next step. So just go ahead and string all of your beads on. When you get to the center where your clasp is, put your 3 rondelles on and then put your clasp. And I forgot to mention, on your clasp you need to put a little jump ring. So I have a small jump ring. You can use one of them that came in the box, but I wanted mine to be a little bit more hidden by the beads and not fall over the beads. So I put a 3mm jump ring on my pendant already. So go ahead and put a little jump ring on there. Of course, all you have to do is twist it open and close. I've showed you how to do jump rings a million times, and I'll show you again during this process. But just put a small jump ring on there, and then put on all your beads. When you get to the point to where your pendant goes on, slide it on the jump ring and then continue beading, and we'll be right back. And as you can see, I'm just sliding them on and sliding them all the way down to the loop that I made, so that I can continue. Just move your beads all the way down and continue. Okay, so I have strung half of my design, and I've gone all the way to the little 3 rondelles that we're going to be right in the front. Now I'm going to take my pendant and I'm going to slide the jump ring on to the memory wire, just like that. Straighten it out so it lays correctly. Doesn't matter which side because I can turn it over either way. So this is what I have so far. And I'm going to continue doing the other side. And when I finish that side, we'll come back, make a loop here, and put our clasping on. Okay, so this is what I have so far. And this is my end that isn't finished now. I've put them all on here. I've got my everything centered, and I've got just a little bit of wire left to make a loop on this end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flat nose pliers and just a little bit in front, about 1 millimeter in front of this spacer bead here, I am going to try to roll this straight up. I'm going to try to hold it over my finger like this so I get it up in the air, and my wire will be rolled the same way as the other one. Of course, you can always turn it too with your pliers. So this is what I have. Now I'm going to turn it this way over my finger, like this. I'm going to cut this a little bit. It's a little bit long. And see if I can hold on to that without flinging it across the room like I usually do. And now that I have my 1/4 inch there, I can take my my round nose pliers, put it on at the very end of the wire, and make my first crook as far as I can turn my hand. Then reposition my pliers back in there and turn my hand again. and then I can grab a hold of it and just push it in too. And then you can see it's kind of floppy and open and my beads want to fall into it. I'm going to take, sorry about that, I'm going to take my pliers now because you can see it's kind of weird. I'm holding onto my beads still because they'll fly up there and get in my way, and I'm just going to straighten that out. Now, if you need to, you can take your chain nose pliers and you can move it back on this side a little bit more at the crook of the loop there, if you want to call it that. And then grab a hold of it, open it like a jump ring, push it towards the neck of the loop here, and just kind of wiggle it into place. And just keep moving it until you get it to close that loop. Now, mine's being stubborn, so I'm going to take my round nose pliers and I'm just going to turn it some more. Just like that. And I'll just keep messing with it. I'll open it and close it until I get it, and I've got it. Now I want to look and see if they're both laying the same way. This one is a little bit bigger than this one, which is fine. I'm not going to worry about that. And now I have ends that I can put my clasping on. Now this is memory wire, so it coils, it keeps its shape. It's tempered steel, so it keeps its shape. So as you stretch this out to put it on your neck, it'll hold the round shape. This will be a little choker style necklace. It will lay, your pendant will lay right at the base of your throat, and this will lay tightly around your throat. Well, not tightly, but it'll lay really close to your throat. So on the very ends here, if you need to straighten them out a little bit, you can do that. Just kind of mess with it a little bit and straighten it out just a little bit. And then we're going to take our clasping. Now, as I said earlier, I just put 3 jump rings on my clasp on this side, the jump rings that came in the box. When you open and close a jump ring, because I'm going to open this one to connect it, you want to place your pliers on either side of the opening in the jump ring. So this jump ring opens right here. I've got my pliers on one half. These are nice sturdy jump rings, so you want to cover as much surface of the jump ring itself on either side like this. So you can see how I'm holding my pliers so that it covers the jump ring, and then I'm going to just twist it open, just like that. That's how you open a jump ring properly. And then I'm going to just put this on. I think I want this on. Let's see, what side do I want it on? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put it on this side though, because it's a smaller loop. So I'm just going to put this on this loop right here. Just drop it on there. Grab a hold of my chain nose pliers again. Grab as much surface as I can and just close that. Shimmy it a little bit until it's completely closed. And then I have one side of my clasping done, and I don't know if I was in camera. I'm sorry, it's late. I kind of not too into being awake, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Now this one, I did the same thing. 3 jump rings and 1 closed jump ring. So you can buy open or closed jump rings. I elected to put a closed one on my 3 opens like this, a little bit larger because I have a large lobster claw, but you can use just your regular jump rings too in a smaller lobster claw, whatever you'd like to do. Then, again, we're going to do this again for the very, very beginners. Jump ring opens here. I've got my plier positioned on one half. I'm going to position the other plier on the other half and just twist. So I've twisted it open like this. Then I'm going to hook it on to the loop I created on my necklace and just close it. Now I have a really cute necklace. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me turn it this way. So when I put it on, I can stretch it out and just clasp it. And it'll go around my neck. And you can make him a little bit longer if you'd like. You can make you more of an extension on your clasping so that it is a little bit looser if you have a bigger neck. If you have a smaller neck, then of course you can cut a smaller amount initially. You just want to make it about 16 inches would be about right for most anybody who's small. 16 inches is small, 18 inches is about medium, and 20 inches is large, so you can go by that reference. And like I said, you can make it as big as you want, but this is a choker style. So it's going to lay tightly up close to your neck, and because it's on memory wire, it's going to hold its shape, and this is just going to dangle right into the base of your throat, right into the little nape of your throat there. And it just turned out really good. It's really adorable. I hope you enjoyed this one. Bye-bye.